There are confessions that are whispered in the dark, and then there are confessions that stay locked inside the soul forever. This is one of those. I never planned to say this out loud, not to the world, not even to myself. But some truths don't disappear just because you stay silent. They grow, they breathe, they wait. And tonight, I can't keep it inside anymore. I come from a family that believes love is discipline, respect before emotion, duty before desire. In my house, love was never spoken. It was shown through silence, through responsibility, through protection. You didn't say, "I care about you." You proved it by standing when things became heavy. I was raised to be strong, to never bend, to never let feelings control the path. And yet, everything changed the day you walked into my life. I remember the first time my family noticed you. They didn't say your name loudly, they didn't ask questions directly, they simply watched. My mother's eyes softened in a way I'd never seen before. My father, a man of few words, nodded once, slowly, as if something invisible had finally aligned. That moment scared me more than anything, because when a family like mine feels something, it's never accidental. I tried to deny it. I told myself, this is just admiration. This is respect. This is temporary. But the truth is, you didn't just enter my world. You became the center of it. Every dinner conversation somehow found its way back to you, your kindness, your grace, your quiet strength. They spoke of you as if you were already part of us, and I stayed silent. Because how do you confess something you're not allowed to want? I watched my family fall in love with you long before I allowed myself to admit that I already had. They didn't love you loudly. They loved you, surely, as if your presence brought peace into rooms that had known only structure. I remember one night the house was quiet, too quiet. My mother came to sit beside me. She didn't ask me how I was feeling. She didn't ask if I was happy. She only said, some people don't arrive by chance. Some people are sent. That sentence stayed with me because I knew who she was talking about. I wanted to protect you from expectations, from pressure, from a world that always watches and judges. And in trying to protect you, I ended up hiding the truth. Do you know how painful it is to love someone in silence while the people around you already see them as family? Do you know how heavy it feels to carry a future in your chest that you're not allowed to speak? There were moments when I almost told you, moments when your smile made me forget everything I had been taught, moments when I imagined a life where love didn't need permission. But reality has a way of reminding you who you are and what you're expected to be. My family loves only you, not because I told them to, not because they had to, but because your presence speaks louder than words, and that terrifies me. Because they see what I pretend not to. I don't know if you ever noticed the way my father looks at you with pride, not suspicion, or the way my mother prays silently whenever your name is mentioned, or how the house feels warmer when you're near. You belong here, even if I never found the courage to say, this is my confession, not of love alone, but of fear. Fear of losing balance, fear of breaking traditions, fear of choosing the heart over the crown. If one day you ever wondered why the silence felt heavier than words, now you know, because sometimes the deepest love is the one that never dares to speak. My family loves only you. Silence has a sound. I learned that after you left, it isn't quiet. It roars. It creeps into rooms, into memories, into the softest corners of the heart where love once lived freely. Silence sits beside you at night, lies to you gently, tells you that maybe tomorrow things will make sense. And then morning comes and it doesn't. I woke up every day expecting a message that never arrived. Not because I was desperate, but because my heart still believed in you, even when my mind had started to surrender. People think love ends with goodbye. They're wrong. Love ends slowly. It ends when hope gets tired. The weight of unsaid words there were so many things I never said to you, not because I didn't want to, but because I thought time would give me another chance. I thought you knew. I thought the way I looked at you said everything. I thought my silence was patience, not fear. I thought my distance was respect, not confusion. But love is cruel like that. It assumes understanding where clarity was needed. Every night I replayed our last conversations in my head, searching for clues. Did I say something wrong? Did I not say enough? Was it my pride, or your fear, or destiny's quiet cruelty? The truth is, I still don't know, and maybe that's the hardest part when love has no witness. What hurt the most wasn't losing you, it was realizing that our love had no witnesses. No one knew how deeply I cared. No one saw how carefully I held your name in my heart. No one noticed how every decision I made somehow circled back to you. I smiled in public. I laughed at jokes. I fulfilled duties. But inside, I was breaking quietly, politely, like a man who doesn't want to inconvenience the world with his pain. I became skilled at pretending the family I chose. They say family is everything, but what they don't tell you is that sometimes family is also pressure, expectation, responsibility, a role you are born into, not one you choose. I loved my family. I still do, but loving them didn't mean my heart stopped belonging to you. You were not a rebellion. You were not a mistake. You were not a phase. You were the place my soul rested when the world felt too loud. When I said my family loves only you, I didn't mean blood or names or traditions. I meant this. Every version of me, the son, the brother, the man, the world sees felt complete. Only when you were part of the picture. Without you, I was divided. The night everything changed. There was a night I'll never forget. The city lights were on, but nothing felt alive. I stood by the window, phone in my hand, your name glowing on the screen. Like a question God refused to answer. I typed a message, deleted. It typed again, deleted again. What do you say to someone who once felt like home, but now feels like a locked door? I realized then that sometimes love doesn't need dramatic endings. Sometimes it just fades into uncertainty. And uncertainty is far more painful than rejection. The illusion of strength people think I'm strong. They see composure, control, calm. What they don't see is how many nights I sat alone negotiating with my own heart. Just one message I'd tell myself, just one explanation. But pride is a strange shield. It protects you from humiliation, but not from loneliness. I chose silence because I didn't want to beg, and in doing so, I lost you anyway. If you ever read this, if you ever read this, know this. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. I didn't stay silent because you didn't matter. I stayed silent because I loved you too much to turn our story into something ugly. Some loves are loud. Ours was sacred. And sacred things are often hidden. The love that still breathes. Even now, I carry you with me in songs I can't skip, in places I avoid, in moments of happiness that feel incomplete. I don't ask the universe to bring you back anymore. I just ask it to let you be happy, even if that happiness doesn't include me. That's how I know this was real love, because real love doesn't demand, it releases. To be continued, this isn't the end. Because hearts don't heal in chapters, they heal in waves. And some waves take a lifetime to settle. When love learns to let go, there comes a moment when pain stops screaming, not because it disappears, but because it gets tired. That's where I am now. I no longer wait for your message with shaking hands. I no longer replay your voice just to punish myself. I no longer ask why every time your memory crosses my mind. Now it just passes like a familiar ache, like an old wound that never fully healed, but no longer bleeds. The day I stopped expecting you one morning, I woke up and reached for my phone out of habit. Your name wasn't there, and for the first time, my heart didn't panic. That scared me more than missing you ever did, because missing you meant love was alive, not expecting you meant love was changing. I sat there for a long time, staring at nothing, realizing something painful but necessary. You had become a memory, not a destination. Love without ownership. I used to think love meant holding on, fighting, waiting, enduring. But now I understand something deeper. Real love doesn't chain people to promises they can't keep. It doesn't beg someone to stay when their soul wants to leave. I loved you enough to imagine a future with you. Now I love you enough to imagine one without me. And that takes more strength than people realize. What we never became. Sometimes I think about the life we almost lived, the conversations that never happened, the laughter that never filled rooms, the quiet moments that could have been ours, not with regret but with tenderness, because what we never became still mattered. You taught me how deeply I could feel. You showed me that my heart was capable of loyalty beyond logic. You proved that love doesn't need forever to be real. Some people come into your life to stay, others come to change you. You did both. The man I became after you, I am not the same person I was when I loved you. That version of me believed love could fix timing, believed patience was always rewarded, believed silence was noble. Now I know better. I speak sooner. I leave when I feel unseen. I no longer romanticize pain. You didn't break me. You refined me. If we ever cross paths again, if fate is cruel or kind and we ever meet again, I won't ask you why you left. I won't ask if you ever loved me. I won't ask what we could have been. I'll smile, not because it doesn't hurt, but because it no longer controls me. And if our eyes meet for a second too long, that will be enough proof that what we had was real. Some truths don't need words. The quiet goodbye. This is not the kind of goodbye people write songs about. There's no drama here, no anger, no revenge, just a quiet release. I forgive you for leaving. I forgive myself for staying too long in hope. And most importantly, I honor what we were without forcing it to be what it couldn't. The last confession here is my final truth. I will always care, but I will no longer wait. You were a chapter, not the whole book, and even the most beautiful chapters must end for the story to continue. End, or maybe just peace. This is where the confession rests, not erased, not forgotten, just gently placed in the past where it belongs. Sometimes I blame myself. Maybe I was asking for too much. Maybe love is supposed to be confusing. Maybe real love is learning how to live with uncertainty. But then I realized something painful. Love shouldn't make you feel invisible. It can be quiet, it can be patient, but it shouldn't make you feel alone while you're giving everything. I stayed longer than I should have, not because you asked me to, but because hope has a way of disguising itself as strength. I told myself, if I love enough, it will reach you. I told myself, if I wait, you'll choose me. I told myself many beautiful lies, and still, I don't regret loving you, because loving you taught me who I am. It taught me that my heart is deep, that I'm capable of devotion without ownership, that I can care without controlling. But it also taught me this: if I have to keep asking whether I'm loved, then something is missing. So here I am, finally asking the question I avoided: do you love me? Or am I all alone? Not to accuse you, not to trap you, but to free both of us. Because if you love me, even quietly, even imperfectly, I deserve to know. And if I'm alone, then I deserve the chance to stop holding on to a love that exists only in my heart. This confession isn't a demand, it's a doorway. Either you step toward me, or I learn how to walk forward without you. Both require courage. And tonight, for the first time, I'm choosing honesty over fear. I waited longer than I should have for your answer, not because time was kind, but because hope kept whispering, just a little more, just one more moment. You didn't know how loud your silence was. You didn't know how every unread feeling echoed inside me. When I finally asked the question, it wasn't dramatic, it wasn't angry, it was tired. Do you love me? I asked quietly. Or am I all alone? I didn't ask with my voice. I asked with everything I hadn't said for months. You looked at me the way people do when they care but not enough. That look was worse than cruelty. Cruelty would have given me clarity. This this gave me confusion, dressed as kindness. You didn't say no, but you didn't say yes either. And that space between answers is where my heart began to break. You said you cared. You said I mattered. You said I was important in your life. And for a moment, my heart tried to celebrate, but then I realized something devastating. You never said you loved me. Not once. Not even quietly. Not even accidentally. I wanted to ask again. I wanted to shake the truth out of you. But love shouldn't need interrogation. Love should arrive on its own. So instead, I listened. And what I heard was this: you liked how I loved you. You liked how safe I made you feel. You liked that I stayed even when you gave nothing back. But you didn't love me. Not the way I loved you. I walked away that night with my heart still intact, but no longer protected. Because knowing hurts differently than guessing. Guessing hurts slowly. Knowing hurts all at once. I replayed everything. After that, every message, every pause, every time I made excuses for your absence, I realized how often I had filled the silence for you, how often I had explained your distance to myself. They're busy. They don't know how to express feelings. They care just differently. But love isn't a puzzle meant to be solved alone. The truth came gently, and that's what made it unbearable. You never promised me anything. You never lied.